Hello and welcome to Knowledge Karate Academy and what is going to be a series of videos which will be including top tips on how to improve specific katas. The idea behind this series of videos is to help you further your understanding of your kata, whether you are a beginner still currently trying to learn your current kata, whether you've done your kata before and you're looking to develop your kata, maybe closer to gradings, or you simply want to look to improve your kata, or you're at the more advanced stage and you're looking to further your understanding of any kata that you're potentially looking to improve. So to kickstart this series, we're going to be starting at the very beginning with Heian Shodan, and in most cases, this is the first kata that you will ever learn. So before we go any further, just remember, if you want to keep up to date with this kata series that we're posting on our page, or any other videos that we post on Knowledge Karate Academy, please click the subscribe button and you'll be the first to know when we do post any new videos on our page. Let's get started. As a beginner trying to remember a kata, the key is to try and think of a way to remember the sequences that follow the kata, whether that's remembering which hand to move, which leg to move, or even the pattern. When it comes to Heian Shodan, this is more notable when you're trying to perform the sequence of knife hand blocks at the end of the kata. So now, rather than going into crazy technical mode here, we're going to keep things really simple, and the only thing you have to try and remember when performing the knife hand block sequence at the end is very simply back, front, back. Back, front, back is simply the order in which you move your hands and your legs to be able to form the 4 knife hand blocks. Once you get near the end of Heian Shodan and you're ready to perform the knife hand blocks, you simply think back, front, back. And this is remembering which hand and leg primarily will move in order to perform each knife hand block. So when we perform the knife hand block, the first movement is backhand and along with your back leg. The second one is backhand and back leg again. So your backhand moves first and then your back leg moves. The third one is making sure you move your front hand and your front leg. So we're thinking your front hand goes back for the preparation and your front leg moves. And then the final knife hand block is back, which then means your back hand prepares and your back leg moves so you can step to the corner to finish the final knife hand block before then completing the kata and finishing. Now, the next tip is taking your Heian Shodan to the next level. Now, actually developing and making your Heian Shodan sharper is actually fairly simple, and it's about working on your preparations and working on your turns. Because when you're doing Heian Shodan at a beginner level, naturally, preparation and the turns are very set, because you've got to ensure that you perform everything correctly, move the correct leg, turn in the correct way in order to perform each technique. So sharpening up your turns is going to be the best way to take that step up in your Heian Shodan. So like I said earlier, when you are a beginner, your preparations are very set because you need to ensure that you perform everything correctly. And same for when you perform knife hand blocks. Like we said earlier, it's making sure you have everything performed correctly before you then speed it up. There's no point in doing moves incorrectly or cutting them short just because you want to move fast. So the key is to try and make sure that your preparations are done fully, but you're turning nice and sharp. And the key here is to try and think, when you start turning, is rather than prepare and step, it's using your other arm to generate that turn. So when I turn, instead of doing this and stepping, I'm thinking to myself, when I prepare, it's almost like I've got a belt in my other hand, and that is what's driving my turn. So you can turn nice and sharp every single time. And this works when you spin all the way around as well. If I were to turn knife hand block, for example, rather than setting and then turning, what I'm thinking about is I'm thinking about using this hand to drive my turn. Like I said, I've got a belt in my hand and someone pulling it, so I'm driving that spin round with my arm as well as preparing to turn nice and sharp. So when you go into the corner, this set is still really important, but you're using this action to drive your step, and your preparation is still prepared fully. So when you prepare, instead of setting and then going, you're using this action to drive your turn, and even when you turn behind you, it's making sure that this action drives your turn rather than set. Drive your turn with the spare hand, and then turn nice and sharp. There might be a bit of trial and error when it comes to this, because you might lose your balance a little bit. That's a good thing, because you're trying to push yourself and trying to make yourself turn faster. If you have plenty of experience and are fairly advanced when it comes to this kata, there are so many ways that you can still further your understanding and still learn a little bit more about the kata. One of the things you can do is start thinking about how you can apply certain moves of the kata. So for example, you can start thinking about why we perform the head block in Heian Shodan, or why do we do the knife hand blocks in the kata. Why is there such a heavy emphasis on the preparation? This can be done through bunkai and application. Now, in my opinion, there is no right or wrong. It is as long as it works for you and it at least makes sense when it comes to performing the kata, and you're not adding random moves or making things completely different. This is a really good way for you to think about when you perform the kata. You can put that into a real situation and you can really picture yourself performing the techniques on someone, and this is really good for performance as well. So these are just a few ideas that I have when it comes to application in Heian Shodan. The first one is head block. Now, just because it's called head block doesn't mean you need to block. There's a reason why we have a small preparation before performing the block. Now, the preparation could essentially be the block, and there's no reason why you can't change your block into a strike, because there are elbow strikes in Shotokan kata and karate in general. Another one is why we do preparations in knife hand blocks. Now, my idea is that the reason why we prepare is that the preparing hand is done as a block, and the other one is almost done as a secure. So you secure your opponent's arm before then performing a strike. Now, yeah, you might decide to do a punch instead of a strike, but keeping within the rules of the kata, there is an open hand strike, and an open hand strike to the neck is equally effective. So that's 3 different levels of coaching points that are really valid for anybody, whether you're learning the kata or looking to further your understanding of your very first kata that you studied when you start karate. So this is the sort of thing that we'll be covering on our kata series of top tips to improve kata. So, like we said before, make sure you subscribe, and then you'll be the first one to see our next video that we post on Knowledge Karate Academy. See you soon.